So look, Karma. Official autobiography. What a shame you haven't got much to write about in an autobiography.
I hear it's planned, Daily Telegraph. And I must have done something right. Hopefully gone bland. I think the interesting thing, though, is I've always sort of been told, like, to do spectacular things in an ordinary way. Because, like, you know, when you're sitting at Christmas dinner with your family, going about how you met Frank Sinatra and this and that, people get so weird. People are like as if there are aliens that you can't possibly have ever met. So
What? You mean the stars are aliens?
I've met other famous people. Oh, yes, I've met them all. But when it's your family and your kids and nephews and nieces, they're like, who are these mystical people? And you go, they're just people. That's the point of the book, I think. I'm just trying to say that I think you want your artists or your, you know, idols to be a little bit weird, but also just like secretly quite normal.
I see what you mean. But I think it's because
Not too normal.
Not too normal. No, you don't want to be too normal because we want the fabulousness, don't we? And is that something that's difficult or is that something that's fine?
In my case, it's a bit like being Superman, you know, because obviously when I'm out of my when I'm in my civvies, when I'm in my casual attire, the way people treat me is very differently. And then, of course, once eyebrows go on, eyelashes go on, all the rest of it, once the hat's on, then it's suddenly like you're full speed ahead. So there's nothing, even if you were trying to be the person you were before, it's impossible because people will receive you in a brand new way. So it's either you fight against that. Do you understand? I mean, you're also famous, you're very recognisable, so do you fight against it, or do you go, that's who I am today and I'm outside and I've chosen to be this person and I've got to just deal with it and be sweet, actually. I think that's the answer. So that's what I've learned from this book, you know, that, you know, learning to be myself, whatever the circumstances, whatever's going on, not to react, like to go, oh, yeah, fine. People are more surprised when you're friendly. In my case.
That's when you really throw them.
I think it's funny, you know, to have a reputation and then work with it. Because my reputation is a mystery to me, you know what I mean? I'm like, what, is that what you think I am? Because people work with sort of what they read. Tabloid headlines, you know, this, that, gossip, whatever. And they read that and they sort of stick to that. And then when they meet you, they realise you're a little bit more of a person and there's more to, you know, more to you than they thought.
You got into some gritty bits in this, haven't we? The time in prison and all that came with that before and after. Was that quite painful, or in a sense, because you'd had to live it, writing it was not as hard as you thought?
The way I feel about it now to the way I feel about it at the time, or even just if you'd have told me 10 years before this was going to happen, I would have said I wouldn't been able to deal with it. But, you know, you yourself know what it's like to deal with stuff. You know, you just deal with it in the face of the moment. You have to, you know, in recovery, we learn life on life's terms. So that's what you deal with. I think Bowie said, like, getting old is like becoming who you're meant to be. I love that as a piece of advice. I was listening to Dolly Parton, number one, for humour, always. And Bowie for that kind of wisdom, yeah, and the Queen Mother. Have a gin. When in doubt, have a gin.
Those are three great idols, actually, aren't they?
Aren't they?
If you've got David Bowie, Dolly Parton and the Queen Mother, then you kind of got all bases covered.
I always joke, what would the Queen Mother say? Probably nothing. So there's a good... I think what I learned about myself writing this book was that some of the stuff I've been trying to say since I was 40, if I just breathed a little slower, just got into this, you know, literally give myself time to think about what I want to say, then it will come out differently. Do you understand?
I do.
Yeah.
I do understand. And sometimes when you're going at 100 miles an hour, and I guess you need that 100 miles an hour, especially when you first began, to drive you forward. And maybe it's a balance between sitting back but not giving up in a way.
But it's interesting because, you know, obviously you only have this perspective of where you are in that moment. You're never thinking, oh, in 30 years time I'm going to be talking to Kate about this experience. You just don't think like that.
Of course.
It's just not, well, you'd be insane to think like that. But, yeah, I think it's one of the great things about writing a book in your 60s is like, hold on a minute. Do I really need to give this as much power as I thought it did? There'll be people in there who aren't mentioned. They'll be furious. The thing about a book, it's not a documentary. You know, it's to say, I I tried to write it in a gossipy, how I would chat to you about the things that have happened. Like, oh, I met Frank Sinatra, you know. In fact,
What was that like, by the way?
well, I was a bit like, I look back, I wrote a lyric about it. You step up to shake his hand, but you're just the man and it's Frank Sinatra. At the time, of course, I didn't think that because I was Boy George and I was famous and I took a drag queen to see him at the Royal Albert Hall. This is before drag queens were everywhere. I took this friend of mine, Coral Reef, and we went to Frank Sinatra. She was wearing a swimming costume. I mean, it's online. It's hilarious. What was I thinking? My mother would have been appalled. What was I thinking? But at the time, you don't think, do you? You think, you know, and obviously he was totally cool with it as well.
Yeah.
He didn't bother him.
He's seen it all.
About 100 million drag queens. He's like, oh, whatever. Hi, Boy George being controversial. But maybe he enjoyed the showmanship of it as well.
Yeah. Was he charming?
Very. It's Frank Sinatra. You know, he's like one of my sort of, you know, vocal heroes, someone that I've grown up listening to, you know, so you never lose that. I mean, I talk in the book about hanging out with Diana Ross, and that was so funny because, like, obviously I was famous as well, but I was like, one of the Supremes is in my kitchen. It's kind of funny. But I think you can miss a lot of stuff, you know, if you're a little bit cynical or up your own bum and you don't get this chance to kind of go, that's amazing. You know, I think I've always been able to do that, you know, but also realising Diana Ross is just a woman, person, like my mum, like Kate, like you guys.
Yeah. I mean, and also holding that wonderfulness of somebody from the Supremes in your kitchen must be part of enjoying it. Have you enjoyed it?
I think I enjoy it more now. Sorry to cut in on you. I think I enjoy it more now than I did because I kind of just didn't really understand it, like as a process. You know, it felt like it was all out of my control. I felt like a lot of the time, that's the thing about fame, it takes you out of your own control. People are telling you what to do, and there's something nice about that, but it's also annoying. You know, that's kind of like, yeah, boss me around to a point, and then I'm like, I've not had enough. So when you would have those kind of kick-off moments, it was just you saying, no, I can't deal with this. Because no one's taught you another way to express that. You know, saying no is hard. Saying no, I mean, everyone's going, oh, poor you.
No, I don't think so. But saying no is hard because you don't know, when you say no, you don't know whether, well, you don't know if it's right.
But we're also taught to be grateful for our careers in this business. That you could be grateful. Not that we're not. You know, gratitude comes with age, I think. But when you're young, you just don't see, you don't understand, like, the business and who you are as a person. And when you have to make that kind of exchange with the business about being who you are, and then suddenly you've got experts telling you how you should be and what you should wear, and you're like, no, I don't need your help. I feel like that now. You're like, just let me do what I do, because, you know, that's how I got here in the first place. That's why you signed me. You signed me because you wanted me to be this person. Now you want to suppress that? No. You don't get to make that decision. You know, so I think when you're in the business, I mean, I don't really even consider myself to be in the business as such. You know, I kind of do so many different things, the DJing, the singing. I like being busy. That's how I relax.
Are there things you look back and regret, or is there just no point?
I mean, I think regret is, I mean, yeah, of course, you know, if you regretted it, you wouldn't have done it in the first place. Do you know what I mean? It's like, you know, I'm very fascinated by the whole process of what would you have said had you had the chance
to go back and do it again.
You know, if you'd met this person a second time, what would you do? But then, you know, as I say, some of the fun is like people being weird, and you go, oh my God, I can't believe they were like that. And people have said that about me, you know.
So are there any sort of celebs or artists that are in the book that you felt you had to run things past?
No.
They might...
You have to run it past them. They're not your friend, are they? If you had to go and ring up someone and say, hi, Adele, why were you weird? Hi, Madonna, why were you weird? Every time I've ever met her, weird.
So why Adele and Madonna? Actually, I think one of the last times I saw you was at Adele's audience.
I think it's interesting how, because obviously when you write a book, you think, I wonder what people are going to pick up on. No one has picked up on what I said about Adele. It's interesting.
Tell me.
They're terrified she won't take the booking.
She's now creased.
Now read it, though.
What did you say about Adele?
Read it.
It's
only brief.
You can't panic now. He's put it in the book. What did you say about Adele, then?
I'll say that she sent me a signed, autographed programme.
Yeah.
which was very sweet because I'm not 16. And I was like, okay, that's nice. And I love you, you're amazing. And then she didn't meet me.
That's strange.
I think it's really weird. It's like, because I bought the tickets. I've actually paid for a meet and greet, but I didn't get it. And it was so weird. It was like, you love me, but you're not saying hello. I think that's
Can you
weird.
imagine a situation where you might have done that in the past?
Never, ever on your life. When I was playing Madison Square Garden, somebody came and said, there's some people here called Toolful and Dean. I'm like, get them the best seats in the house. 1,000%. It's the drama from Kiss giving the best seats. Of course, it's what you do. Absolutely. It's not a question.
It's so interesting, isn't it? Interesting how everybody was. And what about Madonna? I wish... I love the fact that it's just...
My friend was my friend was listening to the audio book. By the way, you get 2 new songs on the audio book. So that's good. Yeah, you get 2 new
fantastic.
songs. Religion
2 new
and
songs from you. Sorry,
Yeah.
I've got to stop talking over you.
No,
Tell
sorry.
me what
I'm
you got on the
doing it to you
book.
as well, don't
no.
worry.
Tell me about the book. Tell me about the audiobook.
On the audiobook, you get 2 new songs, Religion and Suddenly I'm Wiser, which is really about the book. You know, it's about kind of everything we're talking about. Suddenly I'm Wiser. That's just how it goes. It's taken all this time to work out what I already know. So, you know, the book was really helpful in terms of writing new songs. You know, by the way, I love Madonna, right? I mean, I just love gossiping about her. It's hilarious. You know, she's my contemporary. Do you know what I mean? So one of the things I say in the book, which is quite funny, because she says she met me in the 80s, and it's not true. She didn't meet me. She met Pete Burns. And Pete Burns gave her a mouthful, and she thinks it's me.
So she's furious with you. Tell me about the future.
What do you think I'm Mystic Meg? The future. No, I'm joking.
Your future.
My future. I'm going to do...
Tell me about Moulin Rouge.
I'm doing Moulin Rouge. I'm doing Peter Pan at Christmas, which I'm loving. I've just done 6 nights in Blackpool. It was amazing.
Oh,
Playing
wow.
Captain Hook. Who knew getting booed would be such a thrill?
I'm going to come and see you at that. You will be
If you've got
phenomenal.
kids, yeah, bring your kids. They'll love
Yes.
it. They have to be a certain age, but yeah, they get to throw things at me. They love it. And because I knew I was doing Broadway, so I thought, Peter Pan came up. I thought, I'll do that. It's like, get me ready, get my bones ready for going to America. You know, and it's amazing to work with an ensemble. You know, it's really good for the ego to kind of just be part of a group. Not like a band, because it's a totally different thing to being in a band as to being on stage. Because people on stage, they love it. People in the ensemble, they work their bones dry for nothing. You know, they really love it. So you get all that kind of, joy and experience to be part of. It's kind of great.